If you've not watched the main feature yet, click on the top right hand corner here and watch the video. I'm Andrew Scattergood, grandson of Sam and Cyril. Making Wars Apart has been a truly eye-opening experience. I never fully appreciated what both my grandfathers sacrificed for the war effort, being torn from ordinary young lives, newly married and planning families, and thrust into war. I know it could have been an even greater sacrifice, as so many never returned home. Cyril spent weeks at sea aboard the Logs Bay, travelling from Scotland to Singapore, only to be captured just weeks after arrival. He then spent years in captivity, with a third of his comrades dying in the camps. Had General Percival not surrendered against Churchill's orders, or if Cyril had been chosen to work on the Burma-Thailand Death Railway, he probably wouldn't have survived. If the war had lasted much longer, he might have perished from the beriberi he was already suffering from. Sam spent most of his naval career on one ship, HMS Chiddingfold, performing dangerous escort duties across the world. At any moment she could have been destroyed, as were the Prince of Wales and the Repulse. On 29th of January 1944, the day after Sam's son John was born, Chiddingfold was hit during Operation Shingle off central Italy. Fortunately, there were no casualties. For Cyril, a quarter of his fellow prisoners lost their lives, compared with just 1% of those that were held by the Germans. In the Royal Navy, 50,000 sailors were killed, around a sixth of all active seamen in the Second World War. But both of my grandfathers made it home. Not only did their paths cross several times during wartime, after the war there were some coincidences as well. Sam worked at Rolls-Royce until he retired. He was a member of the Bowls Club and swam at Hucknall Baths on Thursday nights, which is where I learnt to swim. Marion, Cyril's wife, also worked at Rolls-Royce, providing a silver service for the management in the canteen. And Cyril's daughter, Diane, my mum, also worked at Rolls-Royce in the photography department. She recalls walking along the runway one lunchtime with her friend Grace, only to be scooped up by a fire truck, taken to the control tower and made to watch an F1 Lightning land where she'd been walking. Sam, Pem and John had moved from George Street to Arden Close in Hucknall in 1965. In the late 1970s, Marion had to move out of Windmill Grove temporarily while new windows were fitted, and she was rehoused on Arden Close, directly opposite Sam. Uncannily, while travelling in our motorhome, years later, two of our favourite stopovers were Greenock, where HMS Chiddingfold was built and fitted out, and Logs Bay, further down on Scotland's west coast, though the SS Logs Bay was actually named after the bay in Australia. I haven't lived in Hucknall since 1989, but recently went back to see what's changed and what's survived. On the way into town, I stopped at George Street. The old terraced houses are long gone, demolished in 1969 and replaced by low-rise flats. It's likely that's why Sam and his family moved to Arden Close, a real step up, gardens and a garage. Arden Close sits at the lower end of Hucknall. Sam lived there until he passed away in 1992, 16 years after his wife Pem. His beloved roses have gone, but the garage where he kept his car is still there. Now it's fittingly used by a young family. I returned to West Terrace, my family home, for many years. The street hasn't changed much, though Frank Jackson's corner shop has long gone, and the factory at the bottom has been demolished. Number 76, where Cyril grew up, is still there, as is number 42, where I spent my childhood. Only a few streets away is Windmill Grove, scene of Cyril's homecoming. It seems smaller than I remembered. Number 15 has a driveway now, new windows and a fence, clearly home to another young family. At the top of what used to be the garden, a new row of houses has been built. Next, I paid a visit to Rolls-Royce on Watnell Road. The bowling club that Sam had been so fond of is still there, and the club is still active. But I was in for a shock. The social club building has been demolished. Such a shame, as I have fond memories of Christmas drinks, playing pool and snooker, and my mum practising barbershop for sheriff's ladies. And of course Sam's bowls victories displayed on the walls. Finally, I visited the Royal British Legion, where Cyril once played the piano and was a member of their Silver Prize band. It's still there and still thriving, judging by the amount of events that they hold. Further afield, Scott's shipyard at Greenock launched its last ship in 1973 and closed in 1984 after 273 years of shipbuilding. Today, the site houses several small businesses. After the war, HMS Chiddingfold was placed in reserve at Portsmouth and Harwich. Then sold in 1958, RMS Logs Bay appeared as the Titanic in the 1958 film A Night to Remember. After returning Cyril and his comrades home, the SS Indrapura made several more troop-carrying runs, then returned to civilian service on the Rotterdam to Jakarta route until 1956. After Sam's voyage home aboard the SS Pasteur, she too was refitted, but as a luxury liner running between France and Indochina. The prisoner of war camp in Saigon, where Cyril was held, was redeveloped by the French after the war for a port expansion. The site was later used during the Vietnam War. There's no marker or memorial existing on the site at all. Meanwhile, in Scotland, the Scapa Flow Museum on the island of Hoy preserves hundreds of artefacts from the Royal Navy's wartime presence, a world-class display of courage and history. If you enjoyed the Wars Apart video, please show your appreciation by giving it a like, and if you're feeling really generous, hit the thanks button to help us bring more stories to life. And also please consider donating to the Royal British Legion Poppy Appeal. There's a link in the video description. Thank you for watching.